ratio of medical doctors to patients in Nigeria is 4 to 10,000. But what is the ratio of family life professionals to families across Africa when many of the health issues people have are family crisis induced? The Institute of Family Engineering and Development is the premier institution for grooming the most effective family life professionals across the continent of Africa. In 4 years, we have trained 1,200 family life professionals who now practice across Africa, North America, and the United Kingdom. Our certification programs enables you accurately diagnose complex family life cases within 15 minutes using data-driven templates and create interventions that combine coaching plus therapy and strategy to assist your clients. For the best certification programs on family life, parenting, and effective children church system, kindly contact us at ekabo@ifedacademy.com or call 0706 809 9845. The Institute of Family Engineering and Development, grooming the most effective family life professional humanity deserves.
Okay, welcome. My name is Praise Forward. It's a very, very cold day in the city of Aubrey. That's in Texas, and I'm super excited to be joining you today. Today, I'm going to be speaking on how to build an effective family life ministry for pastors. I mean, this is something that every pastor does not want to miss, especially if you're a pastor who lead a congregation of African Americans in North America. This is specifically for you. And why am I doing this? One of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that a lot of data and interventions are out there, and the researchers that produce many of them did not take into consideration the reality and the peculiarity of Africans and African Americans and the Black race. And so if you are a pastor who live in North America, who pastor in North America, you want to listen to this. Now, one of the greatest nightmares for any pastor is when a committed family in church goes through a divorce. I mean, you know how devastating that can be, especially if they're ministers. Now, in some other cultures, that may not be a big problem, but you know how heavy that can be when a pastor's got to go through a divorce or when a minister's got to go through a divorce. That can literally affect the church in so many ways. Now, there are several documented impacts of divorce on the church. Number one, disruption of community and fellowship. That when a couple goes through a divorce in a church, one of the things that happen, it can disrupt community because people begin to take sides. So you have the friends of the wife, you have the friend of the husband, and usually they take sides. And if care is not taken, a lot of things will go wrong, that when one party leaves the church, you might have loyalists who are going to go out of the church with them because they perceive that maybe the pastor is a bit biased or has preference towards one of the parties. Number two, decreased financial contribution. It's been documented that usually when people go through divorce, they leave the church, and so their financial commitment also drops. As a matter of fact, there's a documented evidence that couples who are going through divorce because they have to pay a lot in legal fees, their commitment towards church drops. Number three, loss of active members, leaders, and their children who are the future of the church. That when divorce happens, usually people leave the church. Husband might leave, wife might leave, depending on who has custody. And so the children also, who are supposed to be groomed to become ministers in the church, would have to leave. Now, imagine when a church goes through 3 to 4 divorces in a year. You know how devastating that can be. Number four, negative impact on family-oriented ministries. When divorce cases become incessant in a church, a lot of rumor begins to go around and people begin to say, don't go to that church if you don't want a marriage to break. I have had to interact with people who have made that exact statement. And so you do not want that. Number five, the psychological and emotional strain on the congregation, because a lot of us don't know that People go through trauma when their friends go through a divorce. And so we don't think of the trauma effect of divorce of a friend on the other church members, especially when these people are people look up to. It can actually affect the faith of the young person who is looking up to them. And you hear people begin to say that things like marriage is a scam. If this person who is born again, who is this powerful in the Lord, if they can go through a divorce, then no one is insulated. You begin to have this set of impact. Now, the biggest challenge, having understudied, what is going on in our churches, and having worked in this sector for 20 years across Africa, Europe, and now North America, I always interact with a lot of pastors, and I'm shocked that an average church does not have an effective family life ministry. And so I always ask the question, is it a coincidence that at the time our world is witnessing the greatest threat to the family, many churches don't have an effective family life ministry? I mean, it's a question that should bother us, because documented evidence has shown that one of the key drivers of church growth, in this age and time and the future, is going to be an effective family life ministry and the children's church ministry. That when people come to your church, they want to see the quality of the junior church, because if their children are not at peace, they're not going to stay. And that was why we had to create a strategic junior church intervention system for churches. And so far, we've done over 130 churches in North America. Right. The other thing they want to look at is that do they have a strong presence when it comes to family life ministry, such that there can be intervention, because the cost of going for therapy is sometimes a bit out of reach for many people. And so I know why a lot of churches don't seem to have an effective family life ministry. I mean, I've interviewed quite a number of pastors, over 50 of them. And here are some of the reasons I found. Number one, the ministry is time consuming. I mean, you see an average pastor who has to sit with a couple for 2 hours. Now, imagine if there are 10 couples who want to see the pastor. What is going to happen? He's likely going to lose his family as well. In fact, my dad was an Anglican priest, and as his pastor's kid, one of the things I didn't like about him was that church members took my father away from us. And so when a pastor has got to sit with troubled marriages for 2 hours, 3 hours, now imagine if there are 9 of them. What is going to happen? So it's time consuming. So people would rather avoid it. In fact, I sat with a pastor who told me critically, that said to me, said, prayer meeting, we're on point. Bible study, we're on point. Every other ministry, we're on point. The major start point in my ministry is a family life ministry, because I've not just been able to get a hold on it. Number two, lack of competent hands within the system. I mean, this is not America where everyone is busy. You have to make ends meet. People have to make, go to work. And so who has extra time to devote to the family life ministry? But there is a way out of that. And it's also because they think, the time that I have to deploy to handle couples, 2 hours to listen to people, is just, I don't have the time. They would rather spend the time on their children. Number three, members' preference for senior pastors. It's also been documented that in some churches where they have a family life ministry or a semblance of family life ministry, people often prefer to talk to the direct man. I mean, I see it in my practice all the time. Despite having a lot of coaches, over 20 standard coaches, senior coaches, a lot of clients will still insist that I'm the one that they want to handle their issues. Of course, we've been able to bridge that gap right now, especially when they experience my coaches and they realize that they are equally very good. Now, and so low response of members due to, number four is low response of members due to perception of subjectivity. So they think that maybe the pastor prefers the husband or prefers the wife, depending on who is more useful to the pastor. I mean, that's what they say. And so they would rather go to an independent person than come and talk to the pastor. And number five is lack of effective system. An average church does not have effective marital system because the people in there are not trained. Now, effective family life ministry is one of the most important pastoral care systems that can grow and sustain a church in this age and time. That imagine what divorce can do to your church. Now, imagine if you have a system that can prevent, is proactive enough to help people into marriage. I mean, I look at a lot of the curriculum that many churches use for their premarital counseling. And I mean, with due respect, many of those things are outdated, right? It's not as if they are not good. It's just that they are not considering the realities of what young people are dealing with. And so we have come to realize in our sector that if premarital is solid, then we can reduce divorce. Because in premarital, when you run a premarital assessment, for example, you'll be able to pick the trauma point in the lives of the intending couples before they go ahead to get married. And you're able to adequately pick the patterns and what can sabotage their best interest. And so if you want to grow your church, marital ministry or family life ministry is one of the most effective ways to grow your church. In fact, what we say in North America is that a lot of us, especially the African churches, we still do evangelism by going out to evangelize, which is not, there's nothing wrong with that. The only challenge is that if you look at the conversion rate, it's a bit low, right? But contrast that with if you can set up maybe a midweek marriage seminar or midweek marital workshop or relationship workshop, and you run that as a series, you will have conveniently about 200 to 500 or 1,000 people on that call, because that's a critical need in North America, right? And then through that, you can minister Christ to them, and then you can bring them to church, right? But if you don't have the adequate, accurate content, what are you going to do? Now, so we are putting together this training that starts on the 25th of January. It's called the Ultimate Blueprint, Building the Most Effective Family Life Ministry. One of our goals this year is to assist 250 churches in North America build an effective family life system. I mean, we've already assisted over 130 churches to build an effective junior church system. It's about system right now. And because you live in a first world country, and in the first world country is about systems intelligence. And so what we're doing is in 10 weeks, starting from January 25th, we're going to be helping pastors and their members, right, learn how to diagnose family issues in under 15 minutes with 96% accurate. I mean, I work in this field as a family life strategist, and I can tell you, in the last 5 years, I've never had to listen to a couple before knowing what is wrong with them. What I do is I administer a questionnaire, or what we call a psychometry, and by the time they take it, I can analyze it, and we'll teach you how to analyze, and it's 96% accurate, right? And once I analyze it, I send the report to them. And oftentimes they're the ones begging me to say, how did you know this? How did you know this? I've not even told my wife this, and what have you. So there is a science that we can deploy right now that can help you. I mean, with this, it eliminates the 2 hours you spend with couples, totally eliminates it. And then when they come, what they come is debriefing, and then you can create an intervention management, which each session must not go beyond an hour. Right? What if you can provide the most effective intervention for couples struggling with conflict or misunderstanding? What if you can support families before they reach a breaking point? What if you can strengthen marriages and better prepare singles, for a lifelong journey? And so in 10 weeks, you will learn in this class how to master the family system engineering model to family life ministry. This is purely for churches and pastors. We have the ones for professionals, but this is tailor-made for pastors and ministers in the family life in ministry. Number two, you can reduce case diagnostics time to less than 15 minutes. That you can literally look at your psychometry and know exactly what's wrong with the couple. They will actually think that is a word of knowledge, but it's data driven. And what that data can also do for you, helps you channel how to create a series that can address specific issues in your congregation, right? You can prepare intending couples for marriage, because this course comes with a 1-year license to use our premarital counseling model, which has the slides already, 13-week program. It has the workbook. It has all the content you need. It has video recording that you can use to prep yourself for those sessions. And so it can actually be one of the main trusts of your ministry. If you can help singles to get married successfully, then you can actually attract committed members to your church. And then you can manage family intervention effectively to know what do you do, case studies, what do you do, how do you handle this, how do you create intervention for specific cases, right? So you have a 10-week comprehensive training, and then the training covers 6 delegates from your church. You can actually send 6 people from your church, and then you have a premarital license that you can use for 1 year, right? And so what we need to understand is that in 10 weeks, you will learn how to understand the kingdom family, marital redefinition, and the cultural compatibility and what you need to know, and how that can sabotage the couples in your churches, human engineering programming, how to understand the basics of the human engineering model, which is the only model in the world today that combines coaching, therapy, strategy, and systems intelligence. There is no other model that gives you that in the family life coaching framework. This is the only model that gives you that. Then you understand systems intelligence. That's one key area that a lot of churches don't understand. And so you will master that. Family excellence assessment tools, basic tools that you can use to accurately diagnose cases and create intervention. Then you go through the creating an effective family governance system, how to help your members set up family governance system, which includes their family vision, their family values, the DNA creed of their family. They also have the legends of their family, and then the rituals and the routine and the culture of their family. It will interest you to know that almost every couple going through divorce or going through marital crisis, 8 out of 10 that I've worked with in 24 years of practice, when you ask them to write their family vision, they are never able to write it. Bible says, where there is no vision, the people perish. So if people are getting married and they mean well, but they are going in different direction, there's no way they're not going to self-sabotage. So we'll teach you how to help you them create a family vision. In fact, many pastors who have gone through this program, they suddenly realize that their own church vision needs to change because of the peculiarity of the model we use to help them set this up, right? And then we'll go through effective family ministry coaching, the dream team model, the case studies and intervention planning, and setting an effective family life ministry. By the time you are done, you will be able to set up a standardized family life ministry. Now, there are two options of payment. If you want to join this program, you have the model where you can pay $1,500, $1,500 US dollars, and that will cover 3 delegates and course materials alone. The course materials are online. You can download them. This is virtual driven. You can do it within the confines of your room. But we have the 2,500 model, the 2,500 USD, which covers 6 delegates, and it comes with a 1-year premarital curriculum and content licensing. And then you have the course materials, for this session. Now, if you go to www.praisefulword.tech/.com/church support, you can get on that program. Now, we say that the church remains the last hope of the family, but if we don't build systems, the world will influence the families. I mean, in America right now, the statistics when it comes to divorce is very scary. And what is happening in the church is not totally different from what is happening in the world. I mean, in the last 1 year, I've had to intervene in a lot of marriages that could have hit the rocks, Christian marriages, but for the fact that I deployed professional tools that made them see that many of the things they were dealing with predated their marriage. It was trauma from the way they were brought up. And, without that intervention, they would have gone through divorce. And so we need to understand that God has made resources available, and you can master how to deploy those resources. So if you can use the scan code, or you can go to praisefulword.tech.com/church support, you can sign up your church today. It starts on the 25th of January, and it will run every Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Time for about 10 weeks. At the end of the 10 weeks, the life of your church will totally change. Now, ideally, this price is for one person. But what we've done is for the two people paying $2,500, you can send 6 delegates from your church. And for those of you who pay and $100 and $1,500, you send 3 delegates. The difference between the two is that one comes with a 1-year licensing for premarital coaching framework. You are going to have coaching tools, coaching scripts, and everything you need to build an effective family life ministry. We can't wait to have you in there. If you are a member of the church, you're listening to this video, you're a pastor, please send this video to your pastors, send it to your leaders. If you're in male family life ministry and you don't have any form of training, please come. There is going to be some form of certification at the end of the program when you have mastered the use of the methodology. And right, so if you are a pastor, you're a Christian, you are a minister, or you work in the family life ministry, you want to take this program. Is the best that exists out there. Trust me, it changes the dynamics, and it's the major program that takes in cognizance the reality of the Black race, the Africans, and the Asians, as it were. Right. So we look forward to welcoming you as we build an effective family life ministry. We've got to save a lot of marriages. We can't afford for marriages to go through divorce on our work. And that's why we're counting on you to make this work. Let's partner together and fortify our churches and help them set up systems that can save more marriages. My name is Praise Forward. They usually call me the family life strategist. And for 24 years, I've been assisting churches, organizations, family to build an effective family life system that powers their beliefs. I'll see you in class come 25th. So go ahead, sign up right now, and I'll see you there. Bye bye.